My bossy girlfriend after 3 years of relationship has sex with her coworker to make me jealous. I gave them the full. I've recently come to a difficult decision about ending a 3-year relationship with my girlfriend, who made me jealous by having intimate relations with a coworker. I'm a 28-year-old man at a crossroads in my life and could use some outside advice. For the past 2 years, I've been living with my girlfriend Anna, who's also 28, and now I'm facing the tough choice of whether to marry her or not. To really explain my predicament, I need to take you back to the beginning of our story. Anna and I have known each other since high school, but our early years were anything but friendly. We were classmates throughout those years, but we couldn't stand one another. Our interactions were filled with constant bickering and rivalry. We'd argue over everything, whether it was group projects or who got to use the last piece of chalk in class. I thought she was pushy and overbearing, while she probably saw me as a lazy troublemaker. One memory that stands out is from 10th grade, during a science fair project. We were paired together, and what should have been a simple task turned into a nightmare. I was interested in doing something about renewable energy, like solar panels and wind turbines, but Anna was adamant about focusing on genetics. We argued for days, neither of us willing to compromise. Our debates got so heated that our teacher, Mr. Johnson, had to intervene. He ended up splitting us up and assigning us to different partners. Tom, a quiet guy who went along with my energy project idea, and Linda, the class brainiac, teamed up with Anna. That project was a pretty accurate reflection of our dynamic throughout high school. We were like oil and water, constantly clashing in class debates and always ending up on opposite sides of every issue. Our classmates quickly learned to keep us apart to avoid any major conflicts. However, something shifted during our senior year. Perhaps it was the stress of applying to colleges, or the realization that our time together was running out, but we started to see each other differently. I began to notice things about Anna that I had previously overlooked, like her dedication to her studies and her willingness to tutor younger students after school. She fiercely stood up for her friends whenever someone tried to bully them. One incident that left an impression on me was when our school newspaper published an article criticizing the student council, which Anna was part of. Instead of getting defensive, she organized a forum where students could openly discuss their concerns with the council. I remember being struck by her maturity and openness. Anna's sharp wit, which I once found irritating, began to amuse me. I started looking forward to our verbal sparring matches, enjoying the challenge of keeping up with her quick mind. Her determination and drive also impressed me. When she set her mind to something, nothing could deter her. The real turning point came during our school's winter formal in senior year. I almost skipped it since dances weren't really my thing, but my best friend convinced me to go, insisting it was our last winter formal. I remember standing awkwardly by the punch bowl when Anna walked in, wearing a stunning blue dress that accentuated her eyes. Her usually unruly curls were styled into elegant waves, and for the first time, I saw her as more than just my annoying classmate. She looked beautiful and confident, and I couldn't take my eyes off her. To my surprise, Anna approached me. We started off talking about trivial things, like the tacky decorations and the DJ's terrible music, but soon our conversation deepened. We discussed our hopes for college and our fears about the future. We talked for hours that night, discovering we had more in common than we'd ever realized. Despite the connection we felt, neither of us was brave enough to admit our growing feelings, as the timing didn't seem right with graduation just around the corner and our paths about to diverge. After graduation, we went our separate ways for college. I moved to California to study engineering at Stanford, while Anna headed to New York to pursue a business degree at NYU. We lost touch over the years, both of us getting caught up in our new lives and experiences. I dove into my studies and new social circles. I threw myself into my studies, joined the robotics club, and even landed an internship at a tech startup in Silicon Valley. From the occasional social media updates, it seemed like Anna was doing well too. She joined the debate team, studied abroad in London, and landed some impressive internships. Fast forward to 3 years ago, our high school planned a 10-year reunion. I wasn't keen on going since I had a major project deadline at work, and the thought of making small talk with people I hadn't seen in years didn't appeal to me. But my mom, who still lived in our hometown, convinced me it would be nice to reconnect with old friends. So, I reluctantly booked a flight home. As soon as I walked into the gym, decorated in our old school colors, nostalgia hit me hard. There were familiar faces everywhere, Some barely changed, others almost unrecognizable. I was in the middle of a conversation with my old lab partner when I spotted Anna. The years had been good to her. She'd grown into a stunning and confident woman. Her long brown hair was now cut into an elegant bob, and she carried herself with a grace I had never noticed before. She was laughing at something, and her laughter caught my attention like a magnet. Before I knew it, I was walking towards her. When she saw me, we stood there for a moment, just staring at each other. Then she broke into a wide smile, and it felt like no time had passed at all. We spent the evening catching up, with Anna telling me about her job at a marketing firm in the city. Her eyes lit up as she talked about the campaigns she was working on. I shared stories about my work as a software developer, the challenges, and excitement of life in Silicon Valley. We laughed about our old rivalry, amazed at how differently we saw each other now. As the night progressed, I found myself not wanting it to end. The tension between us had transformed into something exciting and electric. The next day, Anna suggested we grab coffee before I headed back to California, and I eagerly agreed. That coffee date turned into a long walk in the park, then dinner, and eventually led to both of us missing our flights home. We spent the next few days rediscovering our hometown and each other. By the time we said goodbye at the airport, we had decided to try a long-distance relationship. The following year was a whirlwind of weekend visits, long phone calls, and planning our next reunions. We took turns visiting each other, exploring our new cities together. I loved Anna's adventurous spirit. She was always eager to try new restaurants or explore obscure art galleries. She pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I found myself growing in ways I never expected. One weekend, when Anna visited me in San Francisco, we spontaneously decided to take a road trip down the coast to Big Sur. We got lost, our car broke down, and we ended up spending the night in a motel that had definitely seen better days. But instead of being upset, Anna turned it into an adventure. We spent the evening on the beach, watching the sunset and talking about our dreams for the future. It was during that trip that I realized I was falling in love with her. About a year into our relationship, we decided to take the plunge and move in together. We found a cozy apartment in a city halfway between our jobs, with a lovely view of the park. Those first few months of living together were magical. We cooked dinner together, experimenting with new recipes and laughing at our culinary mishaps. We stayed up late binge-watching TV shows, debating plot twists and character arcs. Lazy Sunday mornings were spent cuddling in bed, planning future adventures. However, as time passed, I began noticing some issues. Anna's possessive and jealous tendencies, which I initially found endearing, started to feel suffocating. At first, it was little things, like getting upset if I took too long to reply to her texts, or if I mentioned spending time with female coworkers. I brushed it off, thinking it was just a phase or a sign of how much she cared. There was one incident about a year ago that should have been a warning sign. A female colleague of mine, Grace, was going through a tough divorce. I offered to be there for Grace as a supportive friend during her difficult time, and we decided to have lunch together. When I told Anna about it, she exploded in jealousy, accusing me of harboring feelings for Grace. It took a long time to reassure her that my intentions were purely friendly. The situation worsened about 6 months ago, when I began working closely with a female colleague, Linda, on a new project. Anna's behavior became increasingly erratic whenever I mentioned Linda. She would question every detail of our interactions, hinting that Linda might be trying to seduce me. One night, after a late dinner with my team to celebrate a successful project, I came home to find Anna waiting up, clearly upset. She confronted me, convinced I was having an affair with Linda. Despite my explanations that it was just a work event, she demanded to see my phone and emails as proof of my fidelity. Her lack of trust stunned me, and I attempted to calmly discuss her jealousy issues. Rather than addressing her insecurities, Anna proposed that we should get married, suggesting that marriage would alleviate her fears about other women. Now, I'm caught in a tough spot. I love Anna deeply. She's intelligent, funny, and we've created so many wonderful memories together. But her possessiveness and jealousy have started to become major problems. I'm concerned that if we get married, these issues will only worsen. Whenever I try to discuss my concerns, Anna either dismisses them or turns the conversation around, accusing me of not loving her enough. Recently, I proposed that we try couples therapy, to address our communication and trust problems. Anna was offended, saying that if I truly loved her, we wouldn't need therapy. I feel like I'm between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, I can see a future with Anna. We've talked about traveling the world and maybe starting a family. I love how passionate she gets about her interests, the little things she does that make life better, like remembering special occasions. On the other hand, I'm worried about spending a lifetime constantly defending my fidelity and avoiding normal interactions with other women. I fear this could hinder my career, forcing me to decline opportunities involving female colleagues. I also don't want to lose my female friendships or feel guilty for every innocent conversation. I'm particularly concerned about how Anna's jealousy might impact our potential future children. I wouldn't want them to grow up thinking that this kind of possessiveness is normal or healthy in relationships. Sometimes I wonder if I'm being too harsh. Maybe her jealousy is just part of loving someone intensely. But then I recall the distrust in her eyes when she demanded access to my personal messages, and it makes me question everything. I've considered ending the relationship, but the thought of losing Anna is heartbreaking. Despite our issues, she's been a significant part of my life. The idea of not sharing my daily life, laughs, and dreams with her feels almost unbearable. Yet I can't ignore the nagging worry about the future. If we're struggling with these issues now, how much worse could it become after marriage? What if Anna's jealousy extends to our future children? What if I end up feeling trapped and mistrusted for the rest of my life? I could really use some advice. Am I overreacting to Anna's jealousy? Should I give in and propose, hoping that marriage will resolve our issues? Or is my caution justified given the trust issues we're facing? How do I reconcile my love for Anna with these serious concerns about her behavior? If anyone has faced a similar situation or has any insights, I would greatly appreciate it. I feel like I'm standing at a critical juncture, unsure of which path to take. Edit. I didn't anticipate this post would receive so much attention. Thank you to everyone who shared their thoughts and experiences. It's been incredibly helpful. Update 1. 2 weeks have passed since my initial post, and I want to express my gratitude to everyone who offered advice. Unfortunately, I may have waited too long to make a decision, and things have drastically deteriorated. Anna has grown increasingly impatient with my hesitation regarding her marriage proposal. We've had several intense conversations where she's accused me of not being fully invested in our relationship. I've tried explaining that I need more time to consider such a significant decision, but I wanted to make sure we were both fully ready for such a big commitment. But Anna took my hesitation as a rejection, interpreting it as a sign that I didn't love her as much as she loved me. The atmosphere in our apartment grew increasingly tense. Anna alternated between giving me the cold shoulder and picking fights over trivial things. Just last Tuesday, she blew up at me for forgetting to put my coffee mug in the dishwasher. What should have been a minor annoyance escalated into a major argument about how I supposedly didn't respect her or our home. I felt like I was constantly walking on eggshells, never knowing what might set her off next. Last Thursday, I came home exhausted after a long day of debugging a particularly tricky piece of code. As I entered our living room, I was surprised to find Anna sitting on the couch with a guy I didn't recognize. They were sitting unusually close, which immediately made me uncomfortable. Anna introduced him as Eli, a colleague from her office, and mentioned that he was there to spend the evening with us. Despite her casual demeanor, something felt off about the situation. Throughout the evening, I noticed subtle but telling changes in Anna's behavior. She was overly touchy-feely with Eli, laughing at all his jokes, and seemed to find excuses to make physical contact with him. She kept touching his arm while they talked, and at one point, she even perched herself on the arm of his chair, leaning towards him. It was so out of character for her that I didn't know how to react. I tried to participate in the conversation, asking Eli about his work and hobbies, but Anna kept steering the discussion towards inside jokes and shared experiences that excluded me. I felt like an outsider in my own home. At one point, Anna suggested we play a board game. As she was setting it up, I saw her lean in close to Eli and whisper something in his ear that made him laugh. The intimacy of the gesture made my stomach churn. As the night progressed, I grew increasingly uncomfortable. Anna was behaving in a flirtatious, giggly, and overly animated manner, almost like a stranger wearing my girlfriend's face. I kept trying to catch her eye to silently ask what was going on, but she avoided my gaze. When Eli finally left around 11 p.m., I helped Anna clean up in silence, my mind racing with questions and doubts. After we finished, Anna turned to me with an expectant look on her face and casually asked, "So, how did you like Eli?" I struggled to keep my voice neutral as I replied that he seemed nice. Anna pressed further, asking if I had noticed anything about how she interacted with him. I tried to remain composed and said that I didn't feel anything in particular, just that it was nice to meet her work friend. This response seemed to anger her, and her face clouded over. Without another word, she stormed off to bed, leaving me confused and hurt in the living room. I barely slept that night, my mind replaying every interaction, every touch, and every laugh between Anna and Eli. I kept telling myself that I was overreacting, that Anna was just being friendly, but a nagging voice in the back of my mind wouldn't let me believe it. The next morning, Anna left for work before I woke up, which was unusual for her. I tried to focus on my work, but my thoughts kept drifting back to the previous night. Around lunchtime, my phone buzzed with a message from Anna. My heart sank when I saw it was a video. With shaking hands, I pressed play, and my world came crashing down. The video showed Anna having sex with Eli, with a timestamp indicating it had been recorded just an hour earlier, presumably during her lunch break. I felt physically ill. I couldn't believe that the woman I had loved for years would do something so cruel and manipulative. I left work early, unable to focus, and went home to confront Anna. When she arrived, I was sitting on the couch, the same couch where she had been flirting with Eli the night before. I calmly asked her about the video. To my shock, she didn't even try to deny it or express any remorse. Instead, Anna launched into a speech about how she wanted me to feel the same pain and jealousy that she felt whenever I interacted with other women. She admitted that she thought by making me jealous, I'd finally realize how much I loved her and propose. Anna confessed that she had been planning this for weeks, ever since I hesitated to accept her marriage proposal. She deliberately cultivated a friendship with Eli, knowing he was attracted to her, just to use him in this twisted scheme. I sat there in stunned silence, unable to comprehend the person in front of me. The Anna I thought I knew would never have done something like this. As I struggled to process her words, Anna continued to justify her actions, claiming that she did it all because she loved me so much. Anna tried to explain her actions, saying she couldn't stand the thought of losing me and wanted me to feel the same jealousy she experienced whenever I interacted with other women. At that point, I realized our relationship was beyond repair. I told her that what she did was inexcusable and that I was breaking up with her. She became hysterical, alternating between blaming me for ruining her life and pleading with me to reconsider. But I stayed firm in my decision. I told her that her jealousy and possessiveness had been slowly destroying our relationship, and the video was just the final straw. I couldn't see myself marrying someone who would stoop to such manipulation. I explained that a healthy relationship is built on mutual trust and respect, not on trying to make each other jealous. Anna insisted that she did it out of love, but I told her that love doesn't mean making your partner feel insecure or trying to control them. Real love means supporting each other and working through problems together. As I spoke, I started packing a bag. I knew I needed to leave the apartment immediately. There was no way I could stay after everything that had happened. Anna followed me around, switching between anger and desperation. She insisted that it was just a lapse in judgment and that we could work things out. But for me, the damage was done. Before I left, I told Anna that she needed to seek help, that her level of jealousy and insecurity was unhealthy and would damage any future relationship she might have. She yelled at me, blaming me for everything, saying that if I had committed to her, none of this would have happened. As I closed the door behind me, I heard a loud crash from inside the apartment. I was tempted to go back, but I knew I had to move on. I spent that night at a friend's house, struggling to process everything that had happened. The following days were a blur. I took some time off work and stayed with my friend, trying to come to terms with the situation. Anna kept trying to contact me, alternating between apologies and accusations. Eventually, I had to block her number to maintain my peace of mind. Now I'm in the process of moving out of our shared apartment. My friend has been helping me pack up my belongings when Anna isn't around. It's been a whirlwind of emotions, anger, sadness, relief, and everything in between. A part of me still cares for the Anna I knew when we first started dating, but I realize that person no longer exists. She's been replaced by someone I can't trust or respect. As I pack up our things, I'm confronted with memories everywhere. The coffee mug from our first trip together, the framed photo of us grinning on the day we moved in. Each item is a reminder of what we once had and what we've lost. I'm trying to focus on the future and healing from this experience. It won't be easy, but I know I've made the right decision. No one should have to live in a relationship where they're constantly mistrusted and manipulated. I'm looking for a new apartment where I can start fresh. I've also reached out to a therapist to help me work through everything that's happened. I've realized that I ignored many warning signs in our relationship, and I want to understand why I did that so I can avoid making the same mistakes in the future. Thanks again to everyone who shared their advice and support in my previous post. While the situation didn't resolve the way I had hoped, your insights helped me see things more clearly and take the steps I needed to move forward. Your advice gave me the clarity I needed and the strength to make this tough decision. While I know the road ahead won't be easy, for the first time in a long while, I feel hopeful about my future. Update 2. It's been a month since I ended things with Anna, and I wanted to share how I'm doing. First off, thank you to everyone who offered support and encouragement. Your kindness has been a comforting light during this challenging period. The first couple of weeks after the breakup were tough. I temporarily moved in with a friend while searching for a new place of my own. Packing up our shared apartment was emotionally exhausting. Every item seemed to carry a memory, both happy and painful. Anna tried reaching out several times, swinging between angry accusations and tearful apologies, but I've stayed firm in my decision to completely cut ties. I've been focusing on self-care and healing. I started seeing a therapist to help process my feelings about the relationship and the breakup. Having an impartial person to talk to has been invaluable, especially when dealing with the complex emotions that come with ending a long-term relationship. My therapist has helped me recognize patterns of emotional manipulation that were present with Anna and is working with me to establish healthier boundaries for future relationships. I've also been reconnecting with friends I hadn't seen much of during my time with Anna. It's been wonderful to rebuild those connections and rediscover who I am outside of a romantic partnership. I even joined a rock climbing group from work, which has been a great way to challenge myself both physically and mentally, and the endorphin boost is a nice bonus. Work has been a helpful distraction. I've immersed myself in a new project, which has kept me busy and provided a sense of accomplishment. My colleagues have been incredibly supportive, and I've been open with my boss about the situation. He's been accommodating, allowing me the flexibility to attend therapy sessions and search for a new place to live. Of course, it's not all smooth sailing. There are still moments when I miss Anna or wonder if I made the right choice. But then I remember the video she sent and how disrespected and manipulated I felt, and I know I did what was best for my own well-being. My therapist has been guiding me through these moments of doubt, emphasizing the importance of prioritizing my mental health. I'm not ready to start dating again just yet, but I'm optimistic about the future. This experience has taught me a lot about what I want and don't want in a relationship. I've realized that trust and mutual respect are essential for me. I'm taking this time to focus on myself, rediscover my interests and passions, and build a life that brings me joy on my own terms. To anyone else going through a similar situation, hang in there. It does get better. Focus on yourself, surround yourself with supportive people, and don't hesitate to seek professional help if you need it. Remember, you deserve to be in a relationship built on trust and respect. Thank you all once again for your support throughout this journey. It's been a challenging road, but I'm looking forward to what the future holds.